Hey guys, it's Codiak and Livid back talking about Arc Raiders in a brand new map that I don't think many of you have seen. This is the Blue Gate, and Livid and myself had the chance to play alongside some folks from Embark and other creators and check this map out. We were some of the first people in the entire world to play on Blue Gate. So Liv, talk to the people. What can they expect when they load into Blue Gate?
Blue Gate is very much like rolling mountains, a lot of rocky outcroppings, and then like straight through kind of the middle of the map is like a highway that runs into an underground like kind of like mountain pass through slash like research facility. It's kind of like a hybrid, so it like runs straight through the middle. But then everything around it on the outside is like wilderness and mountains and like hilltop bunkers and all that kind of stuff. So there's like, it's a lot of like ranged combat. If you go to the middle, it's like close quarters combat inside. Outside, it's like a lot of like mid to long range engagements.
It's like Scandinavia meets research facilities.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So on this map, in this particular fight, we are going to be looking at a couple things. Right now, you have a fully loaded kit. So you've got the Renegade, which is a semi-automatic rifle, and then you've got the Hullcracker. Talk a little bit about that weapon and something for people to keep their eye on for sure.
Yeah, the Hullcracker is a brand new weapon that was like introduced in a trailer, and we finally got to have our like hands on it during this little preview session. And it's just like, it's like a grenade launcher, but it will only if you hit a player with it, it won't detonate. It only detonates when it makes contact with arc armor. That's when it actually releases like the payload of its explosive. Otherwise, it's just like a dud that kind of hits a player and it will do like maybe 10 to 15 damage. So like it is not a player killing weapon. If you use it on a player, you are both wasting ammo and you're probably going to die. It is very much like you bring it as a role to kill arc units. And I wouldn't recommend I wouldn't recommend more than one person in a team bringing one, because it really puts your team at a disadvantage when you start getting into PvP fights, because, I only have a rifle now to engage. So if somebody pushes me with like an SMG, I'm pretty screwed. You'll see I play my engagements and I try to like hide corners and take a little bit of range at this time to really manage this loadout. But yeah, the weapon is tailor-made for killing arc units.
Yeah, and that's good that you have it, because there are quite a few arcs that not only are on this map, but ones that you actually fight in this round.
Yeah, this is a map that is, I think it's a higher difficulty map. Like there's a difficulty scale rating, it's higher, and that's because like the arc presence on this map, especially as the timer rolls, you'll see we came into this map actually pretty late. It's not even a full 30-minute round. We only got in with like 20 minutes to go. But as it rolls, more and more arc will show up, and it gets to the point where like the skies are full of Rocketeers and Hornets, and it just becomes like absolute hell if you don't have anti-arc.
So this is the checkpoint that you mentioned. We're going through the checkpoint right now, and you're going to head underground, where we're going to fight our first big arc, the Bastion.
Yeah, so we wanted to, we were just trying to, figure out what this map had in store for us. And we were with Embark Nora during this run, because Cody had a dip at that time. So Cody was playing like a bunch of rounds with us before this, and then, he had a dip, and then we went to this one. And we decided we wanted to check out the underground facility, and didn't realize that a Bastion spawned inside of here. But we took, I think Grin took a couple shots there. Some players were behind us, so we kind of wanted to dip inside here, and then quickly realized, oh, there's a Bastion between us and players.
Yeah, and a really different environment. You also got a turret up there, so you've got that to contend with. But very different environment than like fighting a Bastion on Spaceport or fighting a Bastion on Buried City, right? Like this is a really different environment in terms of cover and concealment and trying to avoid or engage the Bastion. Now, again, you've got a Hullcracker, so you have a little bit of an advantage. But yeah, as you can see, all you got are cars to hide behind.
Yeah, if that thing pushes you in this area, you're pretty screwed. Like, it's just how it is.
Right. And you've got the turret to contend with.
Yeah. Yeah, so we determined going into this fight that we wanted to have everybody kind of spread out more, so that way, like, we could draw its attention. And what I'm using right now is, like, that's the Hullcracker. I just wanted to see if I can get a shot off on thing. I couldn't reach it. It has a really nasty arc on it at distance. So I'm trying to right now use the Hullcracker on the weak spot on the Bastion. You'll see how quickly this thing, like, 2 Hullcracker shots, and this thing is already flaming. Like, it is already in trouble.
Right.
And
And
Grin
we
hits
talk
it
about
with,
that, right? The importance of bringing the right weapon to a fight with an arc, right? If you're not bringing something, you're not going to always have a Hullcracker, but fighting a Bastion, you're going to want, heavy ammo weapons if you can, right? Obviously, it's got
Yeah,
weak points. You can hit
showstoppers.
those, showstoppers. You can hit those weak points with medium ammo if you have to, but the fight's going to go much quicker if you bring the right weapon to the engagement.
Yep. Yeah. We didn't realize how many heavily armored arcs are on this map, and it's, we definitely experience further on. It gets like more and more and more, and you definitely need anti-armor on this map if you're really trying to push locations.
Yeah, and you can see here, guys, like once you crack a Bastion, a lot of different opportunities to loot them. And as always, you're going to want to loot as many things as possible, as much as you can. You don't have to necessarily take anything, but you're going to want to loot as many containers as you can because you're going to get XP every time you do that. And you'll see, Livid is getting 500 XP a pop every time he comes out of a container. That is a ton of experience.
Yeah, you can quickly power through. Like, if you're farming these bigger arc enemies, and especially if you're like allowing your teammates to also access those containers and you're not like depleting them completely of loot, you guys can quickly go through your skill tree. Like, it's not even like, we only got to play this little preview window for, I think it was like only like 3 hours, because there was like some loading times and stuff that we had to worry about and everything. And just in that little bit of time, we got all the way up to like 15 in like less than 3 hours. So you can really skyrocket through levels doing it this way.
Yeah. And, obviously we were in a more friendly environment where other creators were also trying to figure out this map at the same time. But once, the floodgates open, this is going to be a really hot area right here. So all of that looting that Livid did, all that time he took to loot that Bastion, he's going to have to be about twice as quick if he doesn't want other teams to collapse on him. And as you can see right here, showing off some great verticality on the map.
Yeah, this map is gorgeous. Like, I don't even know. I was just in awe playing this thing. Some of these, like the light shafts that come through, Nora was showing us there's some like cool little zip lines and some stuff that I'm not showing you in this map that I did in other recordings. These sides of this underground area has like all these like service entrances. There's air ducts on top that kind of run that you can walk on and that lead into other parts of like the air filtration system. So there's like all these areas you could drop down into rooms on other players. Like, it is a proper maze, and I think it'll take like even the most experienced player a couple dozen hours to really get comfortable with the layout of this map. Like, there is a lot of stuff here.
And right now you guys are, I think, going to ascend to the very top.
Yes.
Where you can pop out right at the top of one of those rolling hills you talked about at the beginning.
Yep. Comes us right to the top of a mountain area, which is really nice.
So 3 different levels on this one. You could even argue it's 4 levels if you really want to. A ton of verticality on this, and I think, going to be one of the most hotly contested areas on this map.
I think so too. I think a lot of people will be fighting inside and around here.
Yeah. And now you're in a conundrum, right? You're in a circular area. You're in the middle of the map. The world is your oyster, but everybody else kind of knows that, and they're collapsing on you. So you'll notice here we start to ping an enemy player. They're relatively close, and this is where the PvP engagements kind of start.
Yeah, I think actually the first thing we pinged is a leaper that spawned right over here, and I was like, oh yeah, let me just try to kill this thing really quick with a Hullcracker. But
As you can
hornets
see,
are starting to spawn. Yeah.
I was gonna say hornets are coming in, arcs are finding you guys, even though you're kind of enclosed. That's a wolf pack right there.
That's
Does a
a
ton of
wolfpack, yeah.
damage to that leaper, and also knocks out that wasp. And now it's dead.
One wolf pack plus one Hullcracker shot from Grinfire, and it was like, whoa, it's dead. So, and then this is where people hear this, and now we're gonna start getting into the fight here soon.
Right. It's a great showcase of the Hullcracker, and like I said, it's not something that you're gonna have access to right off the rip. And obviously, if you get killed at this point, somebody else is gonna get that weapon, right? So you're exposed by having that weapon out on the field, but obviously you're very powerful at the same time.
Yeah, I think I think I heard something over. I think we heard gunfire right over this hill. Yeah, and then all of a sudden we ping that, like, we hear people like right up there. And yep, there's people.
And there's a snitch that's on you right up above. So now everybody in the area knows that you're over here. You just get popped.
Yeah, and I think this was us. If anybody knows this creator, it's Sir Demetrius's group. So he's played in like a lot of shooters and stuff like that. So
And it's interesting. You have this kind of weird dynamic right now where you have this giant like cylindrical structure that's providing you some cover, but you've got all of this, rocky outcroppings around you that you could also use, and it's kind of creating this really interesting situation where your team is fighting kind of on a curve.
Yeah, ignore my horrible aim that's going to be here in a second here. Like this.
We're just going to assume that Grin's doing all the work.
Grin is fighting for his life over there in that corner, so.
And as we talk about,
I got hornets.
As we talk about all the time, right? You're fighting attracted a hornet, right? That's another distraction that you have to deal with. I think Nora's down at this point. It might just be you.
Yeah.
No, Grin's still up.
No, Grin's getting pushed, and then he called out that he's getting pushed. So I was like, and here's my horrible aim here, trying to hit this guy. Luckily,
Thank
he's
God
fine.
for Grin.
Luckily,
Thank God
he's
for
fine.
Grin.
But then somebody else was jumping down here, and so I had the opportunity here to hit this guy.
There we go, redeeming himself. But as you can see, all that fighting not only brought a ton of enemy raiders, but also we've got Wasp, we've got Hornets collapsing on this area, and they have full access to this structure, right? Makes it way more challenging.
I'm trying to reload the Hullcracker. It's very slow to reload. It's finicky too with the arc on the thing. So, I was able to kill that Hornet before, the Wasp really quickly. It's a very good weapon to have, just like, especially if you need to deal with a quick situation where you're getting swarmed by even like light enemies like that. Just being able to kill them in one shot is like really valuable for somebody to have.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the map because I do think what's really interesting is while the maps might have similar features or maybe they even look a little similar to you, the structure of them creates such different interactions with enemy players, right? Like just being in this cylindrical structure and having a bunch of kind of like mountainous landscapes outside, it creates a different dynamic than if you were in Buried City, able to run from rooftop to rooftop or escape into a small room. You don't have that option here.
No, this is pretty much like hope you have a zip line or you're gonna jump off and just die.
Yeah, I mean your real option was to go back down, the shaft, which would have been really challenging. Nora obviously deployed a zip line here to get back down. That's one way to do it. But your other option was to just go down the hill the opposite way and hope that another enemy team wasn't waiting for you.
Correct. Yeah. See, I also have like in my pocket there, I have in my safe pocket, I have a snap hook, which is they upgraded it to like legendary rarity since everybody else has played with this thing. But it's just a nice little item that functions as like a personal kind of zip line that's on like a charge system. So I have that just with me in my safe pocket in case I need it in like an oh shit moment. So I could just go in, swap it to my quick use it, and put it right back in my safe pocket. Because out of all items that I do not want to lose, it's probably that. Like I don't care if I lose a gun, if I lose shields, whatever. The snap hook, I like to have that thing always with me.
Yep. So we're kind of in that classic, all right, looting the enemy raiders that we just killed, trying to figure out what our next move is. We've got about 7 minutes left on this map. So not a ton of time, but probably enough time to make one or two more moves. Again, once you get to this part in the match, you don't know how many enemy players are here, right? Obviously, some more have loaded in because of the rolling loading system, but you don't actually know how many players are left in the map. The game gives you no indication that, you're the last survivor or anything like that. So, looting, kind of getting all of those resources to be able to heal and recharge your shield, and then figuring out a game plan, right? You don't have to just constantly move from point of interest to point of interest. You always want to kind of make sure you're taking stock of what your situation is and then making a plan from there.
Yeah, my Hullcracker is completely out of ammo, so my ability to deal with bots at this point is non-existent.
Yeah, one thing that I think people may not know at this point is you can actually get Hullcracker ammo by what, Livid?
Oh yeah, killing the Bombardiers. So that's like, I think we'll see one here in a little bit. But the Bombardiers are like these new, they're built on a Bastion frame, but they're lightly armored. They're not heavily armored. So you can hit them with grenades, you can hit them with medium ammo. It'll actually do damage to them. But they have like these little spotter drones that'll fly out in the air, and if they target lock on you, it basically gives the Bombardier the ability to just like rapid fire like precision strikes on you. And it can get really bad very quickly. But if you kill them, they have Hullcracker ammo inside of them as like that's what they're using, against players. So it's a good way that if you do have this weapon, even if you don't bring it in with you and you need more for your reserves, because it's kind of pricey, and it's kind of like a higher tier rare kind of ammo. it's good to just kill those things and get that ammo where you find it.
So you kind of saw in the background there a lot of flying drones. There was, I think, 3 Rocketeers spread across this map. And right down here is the Bombardier. You see the 2 spotter drones up there. We're actually in really good position at this point. There's another enemy team down there. So we're in really good position to take out this Bombardier. And like I said at the beginning, we had pretty juiced loadouts at this point. So Livid's going to throw a heavy fuse. And then I think somebody's going to throw maybe a showstopper.
Yeah. So I throw 3 heavy fuses. Grinch throws a showstopper, and then he also fires off 1 Hullcracker shot, and we're able to kill it.
You can see those artillery shells coming in from the spotters, right? The spotters are spotting you.
Like, I almost got nuked with 1 hit. Yeah.
Yep, Bombardiers just nuking away. Yeah, so top priority, kill those spotters instantly because that's going to make the Bombardier that much more deadly. And there's the showstopper that disabled it, and boom, hit it with a couple Hullcrackers, and it's dead. Guys, it's not going to be that easy when you first start playing this game.
Yeah, and those spotter drones, they don't stay dead. So you kill the first wave of them, and after about 20 to 25 seconds, it'll spawn another wave of them. So every 20 to 25 seconds, you have to contend with a new wave of those things, and if you don't kill those, it very quickly turns into just lasering you down with artillery.
Yeah, and you'll see again, because this is a heavier arc, a lot of different searchable containers, a lot of great loot. And on the way out, as soon as he backs out of this container, you're going to see he's going to get a sizable amount of XP just for engaging with one of those containers, right? So he's getting 500 just like the Bastion. So again, the key here is to make sure that everybody on your team has a chance to loot each of those containers because those stack up, right? You're going to go 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. That adds up really quick, and that means really fast levels.
Yep. And then you'll see the timer's getting pretty low, so we're going to... this is where we're looking to extract pretty much at this point. And we definitely have a little bit of miscommunication where we say we're going to go one place and someone says they're going to go one place and we don't realize that they're 2 completely different places. And you'll see that having zip lines on hand will allow you to get your teammates that have the very specific Raider hatch key you need to escape to get over to you quickly.
Yeah, and in this case, we've got a pretty full bag. You've got your weapons stowed so that you can move faster. And this is, again, talk about the map and the way it's laid out. You're still kind of in this, crossroads type of environment, moving through cars, little buildings, things like that. You never really left this area. There's the snap hook in action for you. Pretty cool.
Yep. Didn't want to run around. Just wanted to get straight up to where we're going.
Yep. And just the constant arc presence on this map, I think, is more than any of the other maps we played up until this point.
Yeah, it's very clear when they say like the difficulty increases, it definitely means that. It also feels like the arc is a lot more alert too on this map. Like I found a lot of times where that thing was where we had like snitches that were scanning us way more reliably. Like they would fly down underneath like overpasses to look. Like it felt like the AI was even more like honed into us. So
here's Livid putting down that zip line, just letting Grin get back to us quicker. Obviously, we've only got a minute and a change left, so not a lot of time. Arc's still constantly a nuisance. And yeah, always good to have some sort of traversal method in your inventory, whether that's a zip line, a snap hook, anything like that. And here he's even creating kind of a little network, right?
Yep, so we can get over to this so we can get to this hatch on time. And it was fun. A fun fact I learned also on this map, and something I didn't quite realize about the game until this level. Whenever the nukes come down from orbit at that 5-minute mark and onward, wherever they hit, they'll make the shockwaves. But the shockwaves will trigger things like car alarms and stuff. So if you're by it, it'll alert arcs to there being enemies, to players there, and it'll get really out of hand really quickly.
All right, guys, that's the Blue Gate. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.